everyone, Phil Barrera with the Wait For It podcast here at Collective Con with our guest here today, Diana Lee Inosanto.
Hello,
Diana,
everyone.
how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for doing this and for being here this weekend.
Yeah.
You're here in Jacksonville, I think, for the first time.
This is
right?
my first time, actually. Yeah.
We have a big Filipino population here. I don't know if you know that.
I'm kind of getting a sense of that. Yes, I feel like it's like a family reunion.
Right. Well, I mean, what really solidified it is we got a Jollibee. So once we got the Jollibee, and put
Gotta
in,
have a Jollibee.
So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but again, great to see you
Thank
here.
you.
You said on your way in, you're very excited to see a lot of your Star Wars castmates, and I think a lot of people don't know is like, sure, you spend time on set, but then also you do some animated stuff, so you don't always get to see your castmates. So what's that like to be able to link up with them and stuff like this?
Well, we always keep in contact. We became like a family, I'm so proud of, and we always rejoice in each other's work. I'm so proud of Ivana and Iman. It's a real gift that we've been given to be this close in our Star Wars family, especially on Ahsoka and The Mandalorian. And then I also developed some friendships when I did the animation, but in some ways, a lot of the people that were with me and during the time I was doing live action, followed me to, the animation series. So you had Lars, who was still portraying, Thrawn, and of course Dave Filoni was directing us, and it's just it's a real wonderful and grateful thing to have in your life, and for me.
Yeah, it's great also seeing everybody interact with your castmates. Again, that maybe even though you talk all the time, you don't get to see all the time. So it's always really, really fun. We talked about this. You hinted at this right before we got started, but I saw in another interview you incorporated some Filipino martial arts into your role as well. What was that like, and how did you use it to your advantage in portraying
it was interesting for me, because my role as Morgan Elsbeth started on The Mandalorian with the Jedi episode during the second season, as Mandalorian was really on a roll. And Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni both just trusted me to do what I needed to do. The team they assembled, a lot of them had studied under my father as stuntmen, so they really customized a fight scene for me. And then I made some little changes, and at times I improvised in my fight with Rosario, and they trusted me to do that. And it's what comes natural. The martial art that I do, or martial arts I should say, is really under the umbrella of the philosophy of Jeet Kune Do, which was started by my godfather, who's the late Bruce Lee. So, you always have to, as he would say, empty your cup. And so having that philosophy, I've studied many different martial arts, and I incorporate it where it makes sense.
Yeah. Is that kind of discipline in the martial arts discipline, does that also help you in terms of the acting and the voice acting as well?
It does. It's interesting for me. I just saw, of all things, an interview of Nicolas Cage, and he actually talked about the philosophy and art of Jeet Kune Do. But he was saying he applies it to acting. And it's the same thing. You can study with different acting teachers, as in my case, different martial arts styles, and apply that to your work. It's the same thing with music. I know I've met musicians that apply the art and philosophy of Jeet Kune Do into their music, and they study different disciplines of music. So it's a good thing to have this kind of principle of freedom to grow as artists.
That's great.
Yeah.
The last question is, like we talked about, you got to do this role in live action and then also reprise it in animation.
Yeah.
Do you approach those any differently when you're doing them?
For me, no. As an actress, I am still making the same choices. I'm still, understanding, what this person's background is. It's still, if you saw Pedro when he was doing the voiceover on Mandalorian, he goes through the same process as a live action actor. The only thing I can say is I get to have more takes on a line with Dave, when we were recording, but no, the process is definitely the same for sure when you do animation and live action for me.
Awesome. Well, Diana, again, thank you so much for your time
and
for being here. And once again, this is Phil at Collective Con.
All right, very good.